Good evening and welcome to the Saturday edition of Market Mantra, in which we give you a complete update on the economic news of the day. Today we'll also be taking calls from you, our listeners, on any queries that you may have on business, economic and stock market matters. But do remember that we don't address stock or company specific queries. The numbers to call us on are 23421050 and 23314444. Once again, 23421050 and 23314444. And those of you who would be calling us from outside Delhi, please prefix 011. My name is Rajesh Lake, and with me is my co-anchor in Hindi, Amrish Saxena.
नमस्कार। आर्थिक खबरों के कार्यक्रम मार्केट मंत्र में आपका स्वागत है। इस कार्यक्रम में हम देश विदेश की आर्थिक गतिविधियों के साथ साथ शेयर बाजार की हलचल पर भी नजर डालेंगे। आज शनिवार है और हर एक शनिवार की तरह हम शेयर बाजार और आर्थिक गतिविधियों से जुड़े आपके सवालों को भी लेंगे। श्रोताओं, हम ध्यान रहे कि आप हमसे किसी भी खास स्टॉक और कंपनी विशेष पर चर्चा नहीं कर सकते। प्रश्न पूछने के लिए हमारे सीधे नंबर हैं 23421050 और 23314444। दिल्ली से बाहर के श्रोता इन नंबरों से पहले एसटीडी कोड 011 भी डायल करें। प्रमुख खबरों पर चर्चा के लिए और आपके प्रश्नों का जवाब देने के लिए हमारे साथ स्टूडियो में मौजूद हैं आर्थिक विशेषज्ञ विजय भूषण। विजय जी, नमस्कार। कार्यक्रम में आपका स्वागत है।
warm welcome, Vijay.
Thank you, and nice of you to call me for this show.
और पहले हेडलाइंस के साथ मौजूद हैं राजेश लेख।
During the budget week, market continued to make fresh record highs. Nifty 50 index also scaled new high of 24,861. Wall Street's major indices ended higher on Friday as investors flocked back to tech mega cap. 5 of Magnificent 7 climbed 2.7%. And on a weekly basis, Brent crude was set to decline about 0.5%, while WTI was down about 0.1%.
बजट सप्ताह के दौरान शेयर बाजारों ने नए रिकॉर्ड बनाना जारी रखा। निफ्टी ने भी 24,861 अंकों की ऊंचाई को छुआ। वॉल स्ट्रीट के प्रमुख सूचकांकों में शुक्रवार को बढ़त दर्ज की गई। निवेशकों ने बड़ी टेक कंपनियों में फिर से निवेश में रुचि दिखाई। 7 में से 5 प्रमुख कंपनियों के शेयरों में 2.7% की बढ़त देखी गई और साप्ताहिक आधार पर ब्रेंट क्रूड में लगभग 0.5% की गिरावट दर्ज की गई, जबकि WTI लगभग 0.1% गिरा। और आज की पहली खबर, देश के शेयर बाजारों ने बजट वाले सप्ताह में भी नई ऊंचाइयों को छूना जारी रखा। दुनिया से आने वाले सकारात्मक संकेतों के चलते बाजार ने बढ़ना जारी रखा। अमेरिका में उम्मीद से बेहतर जीडीपी आंकड़ों के चलते अमेरिकी फेड द्वारा ब्याज दरों में जल्दी ही कटौती की संभावना का भी अच्छा असर दिखाई दिया। इस बीच F&O की एक्सपायरी, बजट की घोषणाओं और भारतीय कंपनियों की मिली जुली आमदनी के चलते बाजार की उथल पुथल जारी रही। कल समाप्त हुए सप्ताह में बंबई शेयर बाजार का सेंसेक्स 728 अंक यानी 0.90% और निफ्टी 303 अंक यानी 1.2% की तेजी के साथ बंद हुए। 26 जुलाई को निफ्टी ने 24,861 अंकों की रिकॉर्ड ऊंचाई को छुआ, जबकि सेंसेक्स 85,587 अंकों के उच्चतम स्तर पर जा पहुंचा। बंबई शेयर बाजार का स्मॉल कैप इंडेक्स 3.5%, मिड कैप इंडेक्स 3% और लार्ज कैप इंडेक्स 1.5% बढ़ा। सो विजय जी, जैसा कि शेयर बाजार का साप्ताहिक आधार पर हमने हाल देखा, हम निश्चित रूप से इस पर आपके साथ चर्चा करना चाहेंगे, लेकिन इस बीच हमारे दो श्रोता दिल्ली से शोभित अरोरा और राजस्थान से सुभाष हमसे जुड़ चुके हैं। पहले हम शोभित जी का कॉल लेते हैं। शोभित जी नमस्कार, बताइए क्या पूछना चाहते हैं। हेलो,
Can you hear me?
जी जी, सवाल पूछिए।
Yeah, my question to the panelist is, I want to ask, I have inherited some shares from my father, and they may be bought in 1980s. So, in case I want to sell them in the market with the new tax regime and whatever has been announced in the budget, so will I have to pay the inheritance tax, and will the indexation come into picture, or the grandfatherly date will be accepted? So I just want to know about that. Thank you.
Well, I think first of all, we don't have any inheritance tax in the country. That's one. Number two, if you have, as you said, you inherited them around 1980, so the price of those particular stocks as of 31st January 2018 will be taken, which you said grandfathering, and the gain of your sale price over and above that will be liable to 12.5% long-term tax as per the new regime proposed in the budget.
Okay, joining us now from Rajasthan is Subhash. Warm welcome, Subhash. Subhash, आप हमको सुन सकते हैं?
मैं पब्लिक हेलो।
हाँ बोलिए।
मैं पब्लिक सेक्टर कंपनी से रिटायर हुआ हूँ सर
जी।
जनवरी में। हमारी कंपनी के अंदर पेंशन स्कीम एक है जो कि कुछ परसेंटेज बेसिक और डीए का हर महीने जमा करके एक ट्रस्ट के थ्रू सीआईएल पे जमा करती है, और जो कॉर्पस बनता है उसका 1/3 कम्यूट करवा सकते हैं। मेरा क्वेश्चन है कि ये जो कंट्रीब्यूशन है खाली हमारी कंपनी कर रही है, तो जो 1/3 कम्यूट हुआ है वो जो मैं ले रहा हूँ, क्या वो टैक्सेबल होगा या वो फ्री होगा, विदाउट टैक्स होगा?
ये थोड़ा सा टेक्निकल क्वेश्चन है। मेरे हिसाब से टैक्स फ्री होना चाहिए, बट लेकिन मैं इसमें एक्चुअली मैं टैक्स एक्सपर्ट नहीं हूं, मैं मार्केट एक्सपर्ट हूं।
जी, और मुंबई से हमारे श्रोता पी के शुक्ला जी लाइन पे हैं। शुक्ला जी नमस्कार, बताइए क्या पूछना चाहते हैं।
गुड इवनिंग ऑल ऑफ यू। मेरा क्वेश्चन ये था कि जो न्यू इनकम टैक्स रूल लागू हुआ है तो किसी पे है कि ग्रोथ पे, और ये कब से लागू हो रहा है?
ये जो नया इनकम टैक्स आप जो कह रहे हैं, ये अगर आप कैपिटल गेन की बात कर रहे हैं तो कैपिटल गेन टैक्स तो बजट के अगले रोज से मतलब लागू हो गया है। तो और दूसरी चीज में आप जो पूछ रहे थे मेरे को समझ में नहीं आई।
नहीं, मेरे ख्याल में जो ये नए टैक्स की बात कर रहे हैं, शायद हो सकता है जो स्लैब बदले हैं अभी इनकम टैक्स में, उसका जिक्र कर रहे हो।
उसमें स्लैब में ऐसा है जी कि अगर आपने ये मतलब इस समय बजट से पहले अगर जो आपने किया है तो आप को जो पुराना उसके अंदर स्लैब था वो मतलब या जो पुराना रेट था, स्लैब नहीं, जो पुराना रेट था वो आपको लगेगा, और बजट के बाद मतलब 23 तारीख ऑनवर्ड्स जो नए दरें हैं वो लगेंगी।
So Vijay, if you could elaborate on if somebody has mutual funds and somebody has, a hybrid mutual funds, etc. So if you could explain to them that if they had bought anything before 23 or before 25, then how much of slab it would be, how much of holding is required. So just a bit of it so that people can understand that if they have something, then how much tax will be, or how much of long-term and short-term tax will be applicable.
I think that's a very important question because there has been made a distinction of when you sold, you sell it before the before 23rd of July, or you are selling later on. So now, in a way, you can take the rates to be applicable. If there was indexing, you would have got that. So let us now take the debt, all debt securities. Now, debt securities which were purchased prior to 1st April 23, they enjoy indexing provided they are held for a period of 3 years. So which means, let's say you bought only in, say, January 23. So if you sell this after 3 years, would be 26. If you sell it after January 26, you will get that 20% indexing. You will get the indexing and it will be taxed at 20%. Now, supposing instead of that, you decide to sell it after 2 years, which means in 25, you are not waiting for 3 years, then you become, liable for the, because all these become long term in a period of 2 years. So then you have to pay 12.5%. There is no indexing. So it's a little,
for a layman, everyone understands tax kya hota hai na? What is indexing?
Well, indexing was based, the government used to come up with what is the inflation that has taken place, and on that basis they used to say that it's 4%. So they used to add 4% on the cost inflation index. So basically, the concept was that whatever gain is on account of the increase in prices at a general level, that you should not be taxed. So that was indexing
for the benefit of the consumer.
Yeah, it was. Now it's history, as per the new budget proposals.
Okay, we've got two callers online with us. One from Mumbai, the other from Delhi. First, we go to Ratnadeep from Mumbai. A warm welcome.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Please ask your question.
So my question is that now the budget has been declared, and from past 1 week, the entire market got collapsed. Okay. So sir, is it good to invest into some PSU banks at this moment for long term, for around about 3 years or 5 years holding?
Well, I think firstly, just to give you, what happens, one gets swayed. Now I'll give you a certain picture. The budget came on 23rd of this month. Prior to that, on 22nd, the market closed at 24,509 on Nifty 50. That's after that. Next 3 days, the market was more or less, they were deciding, because it went down to 24,412. This is on the basis of closing as of 25th July. By this time, I think the fine print also was understood, and also 25th was the last day of the settlement. So the moment that settlement ended on 26th, we had the double engine going on. Double engine meaning FIIs also came in the buying spree, and also the DIIs. So on that day, we have made a new record high. So where is the fall? I mean, if the fall from 24,509 is going down to 24,412, it's about 100 points. 100 points on a base level of 24,500 is hardly anything. So it's the concept that market fell post budget itself is wrong. The market was readjusting, and there was a settlement end. Once the settlement has ended, the market has moved up. And substantially, by the way.
जी, और दिल्ली से हमारे चिरपरिचित श्रोता RS दहिया जी लाइन पे हैं. दहिया जी नमस्कार, बताइए क्या पूछना चाहते हैं.
सर बहुत नमस्कार to Market Mantra team.
Namaskar.
I have 2 small questions. First is that the P ratios have gone up very high, and the old philosophies of fundamentals in line with that, where investors should invest, and it should invest on dips and reactions. There are no dips, there are no reactions. P ratios are increasing, and the profitability of company has not increased, and the share prices are going up and up. What should a common investor should do? That is part 1. Part 2, 10 years back, Government of India was saying again and again in various forums that citizens should shift their savings from banks and post office to the share market so that when FIIs pull out their money and the market can sustain itself. When the Indian investors shifted their savings from banks and post offices to the share market, now they are killing all the incentive and benefits of making some reasonable profit from share market, capital gain, tax on dividend, and security transaction tax, all around you see taxes on capital market. Please comment on this and see that, what should be done.
Okay, Mr. Zaya, we got your question.
Yeah, I think what you have asked is basically a general perception. Now, just to correct your perception, I have figures. We made a new high in 21-22. That time, and I'm talking of Nifty 50, that time the EPS of the Nifty 50, which means all the companies of the Nifty put together in the same ratio as the weightage in the index, was 655. And that time, when the market went at a high, the market went up, the price earning went up to 28 times. As of date, 30th June, the EPS from 655 has gone up to 1050, and the price earning is 22.85, say 23. So actually there is a 20% scope based on price on PE itself. I am not going to price to book because that says the same story. However, what has happened is that maybe the mid cap and small cap, they have moved closer to it, or mid cap has gone slightly higher and small cap is still lower. So I think this perception that earnings have not gone up, price earning is going up, that is incorrect. I think this is the kind of thing which I think Market Mantra will give you an opportunity to rethink. The other is there is a very interesting second question you asked, that firstly you were encouraged to come to the stock market, and now that you have come there and the taxation has suddenly been increased, I to some extent would agree with you, because you see, we are the only market in the world where you are taxed at the level of the transaction. When you transact, you have to pay STT, and when you sell, if it's less than 1 year, short term, more than 1 year, long term, there the taxation has been raised, short term by 33%, long term by 25%. So I think maybe the government should take a relook for the investors, which is people who pick up delivery.
Joining us from Mumbai is Ratnakar. A warm welcome, Ratnakar.
Hello, good evening, sir.
जी, गुड इवनिंग.
हाँ, मेरा सवाल है कि ये एंजल टैक्स के बारे में शॉर्ट में बताइए, क्या होता है वो और क्यों कैंसिल कर दिया.
कौन सा टैक्स?
सवाल है कि
रत्नाकर जी, क्या
कितना ऊपर जा रहा है.
रत्नाकर जी, वी डिडंट गेट योर फर्स्ट पार्ट. हेलो.
उसके ध्यान में रखते हुए आगे आने वाले समय में कौन से सेक्टर में इन्वेस्टमेंट करना उचित होगा.
रत्नाकर जी, पहला सवाल क्या था आपका? Anyway, let's go if we didn't understand the first part. Did you, Vijay?
Well, I also got confused a little bit. But I think Indian taxation, how it moves, I think the government is the better judge to this.
Yeah.
Now, I think the
sectors.
So you are talking of the sectors that are there. Now this is very personal. So on a show like this, I don't want to be hauled up. So this is only a personal opinion, and it is not, so I think this is my personal opinion. You do not need to, act on that. I think if I am investing, I would like manufacturing, I like defense, I like railways, I like infrastructure. So these are the areas I like.
No banking. No automobiles.
Well, automobiles can fit, but really speaking, banking is passing through a transition. The transition is that the deposits are not moving in line with the credit offtake, and banks will have to think of a strategy, which the FM also said, that please concentrate on your core business.
Yeah.
और चलते हैं अगली खबर की ओर। प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी ने कहा है कि विकसित भारत 2047 प्रत्येक भारतीय की महत्वाकांक्षा है। नीति आयोग की 9वीं शासी परिषद की बैठक को संबोधित करते हुए श्री मोदी ने कहा कि लोगों से सीधे जुड़े होने के कारण राज्य इस उद्देश्य को हासिल करने में एक महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका निभा सकते हैं। उन्होंने कहा कि विकसित भारत के सपनों को सभी राज्यों के सम्मिलित प्रयासों से पूरा किया जा सकता है। विजय जी, आप क्या कहेंगे, क्योंकि बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण बैठक थी नीति आयोग की, और प्रधानमंत्री जी ने जो मुख्य बात कही कि जो विकास का पूरा मॉडल है, विकास की जो पूरी प्रक्रिया है, वो केंद्र और राज्य मिलकर ही उसको निभा सकते हैं और विकसित भारत के लक्ष्य को प्राप्त कर सकते हैं। आप क्या कहना
And the
चाहते
theme is Viksit Bharat at 2047.
I think this is a very ambitious project, and it has to be a teamwork. The center alone cannot do it. The states cannot do it. I think every Indian will have to work towards it. And when we start working with a common objective, with a common goal, invariably we achieve it. So I think it is something to work for, and I think this is something which is achievable. They've talked of $30 trillion as your target for that period. I think it is something which is achievable, and we should work towards it.
And Prime Minister is right in saying that the dreams of Viksit Bharat 2047 can be fulfilled with the combined effort of all states. And as that's what Vijay is saying, it is a team effort that we're talking about. N.R. Prasad from Bengaluru joins us. A warm welcome and thank you for keeping on hold for long.
Good evening, Market Mantra. Good evening, Mr. Rajesh Lake.
Good evening.
Mr. Vijay, there are two questions. My first question is, this week, from Monday to Thursday, market fell down every day. Only yesterday, Friday, Sensex rallied for 1,290 plus points, which is a factor which rallied 1,200 points on the last day of the trading this week. My second question is, I have script X. I am transferring the script to my son. The same script which he has got mixture of both long term and short term. My all quantities are long term. So when he sells it, which comes under which bracket? It comes under LTCG or it is STCG? Thank you. These are my two questions.
Well, we'll take your first question first. Now, you see, the budget was coming, and I don't agree with what you said that the market went down. Market did not go down prior to the budget. During the budget week, yes, market did not go up. As I have already mentioned, it went down by less than 100 points on a base of 24,500. So, and Thursday, being the last Thursday of the month, was the end of our monthly settlement. So, people waited for that to clear out. They waited to understand the fine print. And once the new settlement started, in that settlement, FIIs purchased 2,500 crores of stock and domestic institutions 2,800 crores of stock. Normally, one buys and the other sells. At this point, both of them purchased, and you saw this rally of 1,200 points. Whether it will sustain, I cannot say. But it really means that the investors are back.
Okay.
And coming to your second question, see, income tax goes by first in, first out in your demat account. Now, if you have long-term shares and your son has a mixture, I would suggest, and you want to gift the shares to him, I would suggest you should open another account in his name and transfer your entire gift into that account. So that, and he tell him to, if he wants to sell, he should sell from that account. So it will be counted as long-term in his hand, and instead of 20%, he'll pay 12.5% tax.
That's a good advice. Moving on, Wall Street's major indices ended higher on Friday as investors flocked back to tech mega caps that had triggered broad sell-offs earlier in the week, and the inflation data boosted optimism that the Federal Reserve will soon commence cutting interest rates. For the S&P 500 and Nasdaq Composite, the advances could not completely recoup the ground lost in the two previous sessions, both indices ending the week lower for the second consecutive week. The Dow Jones Industrial Average ended in positive territory for the week. Its Friday gains were aided by industrial conglomerate 3M, which jumped 23% to its largest daily percentage gain in decades after it raised the lower end of its annual adjusted profit forecast. 5 members of the so-called Magnificent Seven rose on Friday, led by Meta Platforms, which climbed 2.7%. The two exceptions were Tesla and Alphabet, whose lackluster earnings had triggered Wednesday's big market sell-off. They both fell 0.2%, with Alphabet dropping to its lowest close since May 2. And oil futures fell about 1.5% on Friday, finishing the week lower on declining Chinese demand and hopes of a Gaza ceasefire agreement that could ease Middle East tensions and accompanying supply concerns. Brent crude settled down 1.5% to $81.13 a barrel. West Texas Intermediate crude ended 1.4% lower at $77.16 a barrel.
और जयपुर से हमारे श्रोता जितेंद्र लाइन पे हैं। जितेंद्र नमस्कार, बताइए क्या पूछना चाहते हैं?
हाँ, लेखानुदान, आर्थिक सर्वेक्षण और बजट में तीनों में क्या समानता है और क्या डिफरेंसेस हैं?
ये मेरे को ये जो गूढ़ हिंदी है मेरे को तो समझ में नहीं आई। अगर आप इसका अंग्रेजी में अनुवाद कर दे तो समझ में आ जाएगा।
इकोनॉमिक सर्वे और इनका डिमांड फॉर ग्रांट
बिटवीन द आर्थिक सर्वेक्षण, लेखानुदान एंड बजट।
अच्छा, सी इकोनॉमिक सर्वे तो हमेशा पहले आता है, क्योंकि बजट से पहले एक दिन पहले इकोनॉमिक सर्वे आ जाता है। वो बताता है कि क्या कंडीशंस थी, क्या हालात थे जिसमें ये बजट बना है, और उसके बाद जो आप अनुदान की बात करते हैं वो किस सेक्टर को कितना पैसा दिया गया है वो है। और बजट तो पूरा उस साल का और आगे के सालों का क्या हो सकता है वो उसके बारे में बताया जाता है कि किस क्षेत्र में कितना पैसा लगाया जाएगा इस समय और आगे, और उसके आगे क्या गवर्नमेंट की नीति रहेगी। वो सारी चीजें बजट में उसका खुलासा होता है, तो इसलिए ये तीनों चीजें अलग हैं।
We have our next caller online from Chandigarh. Warm welcome. What's your question? Mr. Vashishta.
I am DK Vashishta. I am from Chandigarh.
जी, सवाल पूछे।
Sir, recently I have retired from government service.
जी जी, बोलते रहे।
हाँ सर, मेरे पास कुछ मेरे एम्प्लॉयर है, मुझे जो फंड दिया है मैं उसको इन्वेस्ट करना चाहता हूँ। प्लीज मुझे गाइड करें कि मैं कैसे इन्वेस्ट कर सकता हूँ। मैं इक्विटी में कितना लगाऊं, म्यूचुअल फंड में कितना लगाऊं, गोल्ड और जो एवेन्यूज में मैं उनमें अपनी प्रपोर्शन को कैसे डिजाइन करूं।
देखिए, आपने जो बात की है वो एक एसेट एलोकेशन है। आपने बहुत अच्छा बोला कि मैं इक्विटी में कितना बोलूं, कितना मैं क्या कहते हैं डेट या ब्याज वाले ऐसे इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स हैं उसमें रखूं, और कितना गोल्ड में रखूं। गोल्ड में तो ये होता है कि आप 5 से 10% से ज्यादा इन्वेस्टमेंट नहीं करें। अब उसमें से इक्विटी कितनी करनी है और डेट कितना करना है उसका एक बेंचमार्क है, लेकिन वो जरूरी नहीं है कि वो फॉलो करें। बेंचमार्क है कि आप 100 में से अपनी एज को घटा दीजिए। तो मैं अज्यूम करता हूं कि आप 60 साल के हैं और 100 में से वो घटाएंगे तो 40 रह जाएगा। तो 40% आप इक्विटी में लगा सकते हैं, 5 से 10% गोल्ड में लगा सकते हैं, और बाकी
ये विजय जी चलते हैं कार्यक्रम की समाप्ति की ओर। इस कार्यक्रम में भाग लेने और इतने विस्तार से श्रोताओं को बहुमूल्य जानकारी देने के लिए आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
Thank you for being with us, Vijay. And before we close the headlines once again, during the budget week, market continued to make fresh record highs. Nifty 50 index also scaled new high. Wall Street's major indices ended higher on Friday as investors flocked back to tech mega caps. And on a weekly basis, Brent crude declined about 0.5%, while WTI was down about 0.1%. That's all we have in this edition of Market Mantra. Till tomorrow, goodbye.